Welcome to season 3 of Gather for Her. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Thank you so much for being here this morning. We're pretty excited to get things kicked off. And I want to start off with just welcoming you, taking a moment to just pause and share some gratitude. I'm very grateful this morning to be hosting you from my home on the beautiful, the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Squamish First Nations on the Sunshine Coast. And we're very, very honored that you have chosen to give yourself the hour this morning to be here with us. I want to welcome my co-hosts, and I will ask them to do a self-introduction this morning as well.
Sure. Would you like me to start? Fantastic. All right. Good morning, everyone, and Happy New Year. I'm one of those people who loves beginnings. So I love New Year's, my birthdays. I love Mondays. So I'm thrilled to be here, and I appreciate the fact that you are here. And as Shar said, you're giving us your hour. And I just thought I'd quickly, as an introduction, share my 2021 intention, and that is to work more fully with my clients on self-mastery for collective impact. And so super excited about what this year is bringing, and thrilled to be here, and looking forward to hearing from Tina. Not only do I admire Tina, but I also pay really close attention to how she interprets the world as an artist and as a thinker, because she often has metaphors that really speak to both my intellect and my heart. So I'm looking forward to hearing from Tina. Thank you. And I'll turn it over to Sharon, my other co-host, who I admire and adore.
Thank you, Christina, and welcome everyone. Season 3, this is so exciting, and Happy New Year and Happy New Moon. We celebrated a new moon yesterday, and so new moons new moon is to get rid of the old and bring in new intentions. And so I have several intentions for the new year and the new moon, and one of them is to leap. So it's to take those brave opportunities that I wouldn't normally take. And so I am coming to you today from the traditional territory of the Snanawas and Snuneymuxw First Nation here on Vancouver Island in Lanceville. And I am very happy to be with you today. And I'm excited for this session with Tina. Yes, sometimes I think Tina has Indigenous blood in her with some of the, as Christina said, some of the metaphors that she comes up with. So today's session is going to be a big one. So thank you all for being here.
Wow. I'm going to actually introduce Tina this morning, because we're thrilled that one of our co-hosts is sitting in our Gather Guest chair this morning. I want to energetically just do a little exercise and let us know where we are reaching you at. So the corners of the earth that we are stretching out to, I'd love for you to let us know where that is in the chat. Where are the corners of the earth that we're stretching out to this morning? And then I'm going to invite you to energetically take those corners and just breathe them in and deliberately weave them into the energy that is here right now in this space here with Tina. So I am going to introduce T with her professional bio, and then I'm going to say a few words from the heart. Tina Overbury is a core story woman of mystery and intrigue. She is someone who believes deeply that communication is a spiritual practice of both sacred listening and speaking. She's a core communication specialist who works with individuals and organizations who are called for global impact. She is a sacred listener in a divisive time. She cultivates safe containers for real, change-based conversation. Tina is a part of my braid, as you regulars know. She is a piece of me that's outside of my physical body, but very much part of my spiritual being. She is the nicer, kinder, funnier, lighter side of me. She is a pioneer woman who loves a good fire and a good laugh, a good book, and most of all, a good story. Tina is an amazing mother to 3 really awesome boys. And I am so grateful that she is a part of my life and of our life. And it's such a pleasure to kick off season 3 with TinaO. Thank you for being here this morning.
I'm already crying. But before we get going, I just want to welcome the story of you and of us and the story of me in this morning and the story between us where we connect. Let's be in the mystery together. Thank you, Shar. And thank you, Sharon. When you said it, like immediately, it just boom, my heart started pounding and the tears came that when you said that sometimes you think there's a piece of Indigenous inside of me. I was like, like the respect that I received there and the honor I felt. I just want to name that. So thank you for the gift of that. Thank you. All right. I'm TinaO, and I come to you today from Nechwelaquam on the traditional unceded and ancestral lands of the Squamish people. And it's an honor to be in the story of all of us today. I'm listening and on the story. So I welcome wherever you want to go. Shar, where do we want to go today? And welcome everybody to Gather for Her season 3. Can I just be like, woohoo, a little bit woohoo and not so mysterious for a sec? Where's this?
Oh, awesome. Well, I am going to gently kick us off, but really, as you very well know, anybody dive in at any time, that it extends to our audience. Please use the chat function. But I'd like to just take a moment to recognize Veronica, Annemiek, Denise, Madeline, thank you for being here. Tina, Denise, Brenda from Toronto, and my team. Thank you, Selena. Thank you, Patty, Sarah, Karen, all of you. We're so grateful that you are making time to be here this morning. And I want to recognize our team, the Powerhouse Creative team that's behind the scenes to make all this happen. This is very much a collective effort. And I just want to say thank you and celebrate that we're on season 3. I'm very proud of where we've come, and I'm even more excited of where we're going. So as most of you know, I believe our theme for 2021 is leading beyond belief. So I'd like to invite Tina to open the conversation and for anyone to join in about what does leading beyond belief mean to you right here, right now, and why is it important to you?
It's a great question. And when it was presented in late December, I did my thing that I think we all do, which is the intention for 2021 or the goal or whatever the thing that we're kind of always do around that time. And I set this intention, and then I looked at the intention. I went, well, that's not beyond belief. I was like, oh, what does that even mean? Right. And then I took it forward. And and what was interesting was I could feel my programming want to just make a big lofty goal, right? And that's not beyond belief. Beyond belief isn't about, well, it's so big I can't get there. It's actually like, it's, to me, as a story coach and tracker, and my devotion to the mystery of knowing our story, it's beyond belief, which means it's just out of my seeing. It's just out of my full hearing. It's like the whisper of what's there for me if I'm willing to just, like, how much more can I surrender? How much more can I trust? So my lead beyond belief goal, or lead beyond belief intention, my lead beyond belief hearing is to, at the end of 2021, I will be a guest on CBC Radio 1, speaking about my one-woman show, Oh My God, because this is the beyond belief part, because it's set in Ireland and someone in Ireland says her. That show, that's going to help us heal here in Ireland. And I want your show on our shores.
I love the clarity and the specificity. Oh my gosh. And that the fact that I can see you I can actually see you as I know you in Ireland. And so it just, I can feel it. Christina, I'm just going to invite you to jump right in. I wrote in the chat when T was talking, it's in the periphery. It's there, but any thoughts around leading beyond belief? You did a lot of contemplation over the holidays. I know you did.
Well, and it's interesting because there's a couple things that stood out for me. One of them is sometimes leading beyond belief, like what Tina just described, that is beyond belief for her, is actually not easy, but it's actually, we can see that, right? It's like, well, yeah, we can see that for you, right? And I think that it's actually really important to surround yourself with a collection of people that, when you're leading beyond belief, is outside of, it's on the edges of what you can see, that actually others can see it for you, right? And that's braid work. It's, but it's also, it's fire circle work, right? I can see that for you. And so that's fire speak, because it feels beyond belief. The other thing that I think was really interesting that struck me, and here's where I went, and that is the idea of sometimes making our beyond belief an audacious goal, and when sometimes leading beyond belief is actually a way of being, right? It's a way of walking and being in the world that comes back to what you always talk about, Tina, and that is holding the mystery of what we cannot see. And that's that's the way I actually see you walking in the world. I see your way of being is you walk in mystery and you model it. And that's not it's not an easy space to hold, right? Because it's both living in the polarity of tangible and intangibles. So I actually want to hear a bit more about that from you, about leading beyond belief as a way of being in the tangibles and the intangible.
Thank you. Thank you for that question. And I being a part of Powerhouse and having my life be centered in the house and walking next to and with Indigenous women has greatly supported kind of an inner knowing that I didn't know that I had. And it's like you said, when you're around people that are a little bit more comfortable, or a lot more comfortable, walking in the mystery. That would be my language, might be different for you, but like trusting what is the steps that are actually stepping you versus you stepping the steps, and that muscle of and it is a muscle, like it's a practice. It's a practice to be embodied in self and also embodied in the world at the same time. And I tend to think of 3 time zones of mystery, like okay, like honestly, I get really tired, and just like, forgive me, I'm gonna just speak like little fire speak. I get really like exhausted with woo talk, and I'm woo, like, let's be real, I am super woo, but I get really tired and a little bit when we want to escape these 3 time zones, when we actually just want to live in one. I just want to hover above the planet in this spirit place, and I don't want my feet on the ground. Or I just want my feet on the ground and I don't want any spirit place. Or I don't want the middle zone where I'm in co-creation between the 2. And I just want to choose one. It's like, it's like, if we're up here, we can't affect change down here. And if we're down here, we're not connected. And so I try to live between the 2 and connect the 2. And for me, the easiest way to get there, because I'm an artist, and I actually think we're all artists. We all have it in us. It just expresses it comes through us in different ways. But I think this is the age of the artist, and artists bring art into a tangible world. So their very muscle of living is that mid zone between the 2. So as a practice for anyone listening, that's where I would go. I would say, connect to the artist of who you are. It's probably your easiest way to get there.
Can I ask one more question?
Yeah.
Tell us how you get there. Tell us how you personally get there.
Cool. Even that. Okay, well, I can tell you how I get there, and then I'll tell you what I have to do to stay there. How about that? So to get there, for me, it goes back to a feeling, like it's like noticing in your body or in your memory when you had what I call emergent time, which for most of us is a child. We're children, and no one's pointed us, no one has said to us, you rock at that. Whatever that thing is, like for me, I have this visual of like literally skipping down the street on Fraser Street, but somewhere between 49th and 53rd, somewhere in there. I don't know why. I have this like vivid memory of like the timelessness of skipping. And then I have another vision of dancing down my little front steps when I was probably like 11 years old. And those places are emergent play, which means we're in that middle zone. No one's saying you rock at this, which means I'm not aware of an audience. I'm actually just in the space of being, and it's expressive. And then the next place I go in my practice of artistry is the practice of feeling like that while I am writing, or feeling like that while I'm in my legs and speaking, or feeling like that while in my voice. Like, can I feel that girl in my voice? And so it's like my anchor point is that emergent place. And then my daily practice, and this comes from Nicole Natris, who speaks about creative alchemy, is that you don't have to. I don't even like that word. Have to, shoulds, whatever. But I know for my instrument that you can create a care of your artist. Like, what does your artist need? So like, what does my artist need to live in that emergent place? I need to sleep. I need a gentle morning. Slow morning. I need a beautiful bed. I need certain scents. Like these are just my, it's actually about home for me. That's what I need. And so that would be my question for all of us. Like, what do you need to feel safe in that emergent place and cared for, so that your soulful, which is a vulnerable place to live, your openness can, like, how much more open can I be and still take care of myself?
Definitely. Leading beyond belief for me is having faith to move forward into the unknown, like you say, so into the mystery, and being out of our heads and being out of my head and in my heart. And and definitely getting that feeling and working with that feeling is how to get there and how to stay there. I had a question, but I have to work on it, so I'll be back with the question.
Awesome. Thanks, Sharon. So we've kind of gone over starting to unwrap this concept, just starting, and I'm hoping it looks like, folks are really thinking about, what does this involve, for each of us. I want to ground it. I want to ground it. And I love what T said about, we walk in two worlds. We are spiritual beings, and we are practical on the ground change makers in a very physical world. And the gift is being able to walk in those two worlds. So I'm going to ground it with some real effective, practical sharness for a moment. I was listening to a podcast over the holidays. I really enjoy, one of the things that feeds my spirit is movement and listening. If I'm going to listen to something, it's likely going to be a podcast almost over music. And the gentleman in this podcast, interestingly enough, couldn't be more different than me. Couldn't be more different, gentleman, U.S., former Navy SEAL, Special Forces, top of the top, trainer of trainers. But what he had to say, I really enjoyed listening to, and it was about all of our attributes that make us the leaders we're here to be. They're attributes that we're born with. They're attributes that we all have. They're not skills we learn. They're attributes that we tease out of ourselves and those around us tease out of us. They are attributes within us. And from over 20 years of research and listening and diving into this topic, what he has learned and what his message is how important, how these attributes actually only come to the surface under fire. They only come to the surface as they're called in challenging times, which is why he was a guest at this time on this podcast. And so I want to wrap that back into our conversation about leading beyond belief and innate attributes that are calling, to be teased more to the surface. So why leading beyond belief? Why now, T? And then maybe we can go into, what does that look like and feel like for you right now? Like, what does that look and feel like? What's the journey or the path of leading beyond belief now?
I love that about attributes. I love that a lot. Okay, so why now? So as someone who, as a sacred listener in a divisive time, now is the time to practice the mix. Now is the time. Now is the time to, like, we know how to keep our feet on the ground, and we know how to escape. And leaders, the leaders of tomorrow, which is today, guys, like, the leaders of tomorrow is happening right now. We're it. We are it, and we are modeling for the next one coming up. And we have to practice our own mix, which is put our leadership down for a while sometimes and go, what can you teach me? Because I'm locked in an old, autopilot system that I think is right. That's mix, right? So I think now more than ever, the earth needs us. Now more than ever, our partner in this walk of our gift of a life needs us. We need to be rooted into the ground. We need that. And we need to bring our skills and our attributes and our soulful connection. We're the bridge between heaven and earth, right? We are the mix. And so now more than ever, not even just for the people of the earth, but for what we contribute to the great puzzle of this time. Like, this is the practice of mix. And the leaders that we're going to believe, like Jacinda Ardern, AOC, right, are the women and the men, the men who've got their conscious feminine and their conscious masculine, the beyond gender conversation. Can we talk about mix? Can we just put gender down and pick up the learning from the gender rather than the label of gender and go, okay, I've got my masculine, I've got my feminine. They're actually like beautiful jewels in a bag. That's what they are. They are mix. So in order to trust our leaders need to speak to the allness that we are, and not the one piece that we are, those 3 time zones. So that's why I think now, we have this. I don't prescribe to the belief that, God's got this and the earth is all like, it's going to be fine. Because if God's got this, why would we be here? Like, what do we play in this? Like, we're in relationship. We don't got this either. Like, we're all in this together. And are we going to show up in our part? Are we? I am. You are. We're here. So that's why.
Well, and Tina, the woo-woo. So, you talk about the woo-woo, but it's important. The woo-woo is not so woo-woo. It's a part of how we are going to move forward. And so, it is also the beautiful jewels in the bag. And so how do we lead beyond belief, bringing that into our everyday existence so that it's not this flaky idea, this flaky thought that somebody has, or this flaky way of being, because flaky is the word, right? Like,
I love it. You know what I just thought of? I've never thought this before. So Zoe, just so you know, we're gonna like hashtag this. So just because Zoe's listening, social media powerhouse, we're gonna go from woo to wow. From the woo to wow. And so where I would go with that is in any given decision we make, in any given step we take, we can ask ourselves, am I integrated here? Is there spirit here? Is there earth here? Is there co-creation here? And to know that I'm not suggesting that we're all going to have the same mix or need to lean into the same place. Some of us who like to float are probably going to want to like pull in some earth. Some of us who like to land are probably going to have to pull in some spirit, right? Some of us who like to separate are going to have to pull in some mix. As well, I'm not suggesting that we're all going to be the same, because we come into the world with gifting, or what I would call in your core story. We come into the world with a core medicine that we give the world, plus a core vulnerability or poison that will like our kryptonite that'll take us out. But when we know what our medicine is, we're like, okay, like some of us might have more medicine in the wow camp, right? And so great, if that's where your medicine is and you're on the planet to deliver that medicine, with your feet firmly planted, but you might be 70% more wow, right? Some of us deliver more earth, and that's our medicine. And it's like getting to know what that is, but really asking, am I integrated? Am I integrated? What time zone am I in right now? You know, and learning that in other people.
And bringing those thoughts into the mainstream so that it's not such a, an odd thing to be bringing spiritual talks into your practice, or spiritual thoughts into practice.
Oh my
Because
gosh.
that's the way of Indigenous being, is working through our spirituality.
Imagine when someone you meet this week that you think is like way out in left field, whatever that is, like they walk in and they go, I'm an alien, right? Let's say that. Let's go like way out, which by the way, I don't think is so weird. But imagine if someone walks in and goes, blah, 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 I'm an alien from planet blah, blah, blah. And instead of going, oh, well, that's so woo, we go, wow, where did that come from for you? And how is that taking you somewhere? Tell me about that. Like, can we strip away our stories about what we're hearing and just what's underneath the story? You know, like from woo to wow. I dig that. I think that's fun. Wow. Can I tell a really silly story? It's kind of about the same thing. Okay. I was talking to someone the other day, and she and her husband, when they were first together, and they, you know, they're past the courtship stage, and they're starting to fart around each other. Okay. And so they noticed that they used to go, oh, that's so stinky. Right. And then they're like, after a while, like, oh, wow, that you really ripped one. It started to feel negative. And so what they did was they went, every time one of them would fart, they would go, wow, that's a good one. Whew, you must have been eating some whatever. And I'm being really playful here because like it go from woo to wow is just, it's just a shift.
It's perspective, right? It's total perspective. It's how you handle that is totally how you're going to experience it, you know, like good or bad or ugly.
Not funny. It cracks me up.
It's kind of a deal breaker on a first date, isn't it?
Here's for first times. Okay, Christina, save us.
I don't know if I can. Like I said, it's okay on a first date, and after a while, yeah, not saying wow, just the wow factor is.
See, communication is a sacred practice, which doesn't mean it has to be deep. It just means, am I connecting with you? Are you with me? Like, good. Fart jokes. Here we go.
Oh my gosh. Oh, Tina, you're so funny. You thought you'd dig it into the practical, hey?
Dug a little too far with that one. Okay, I'm going to pull us back around. Here we go. So I'm going to set the context because I do want to dive into 51st nights. I want to dive into what you're up to right now in 2021 and what that looks like and the intention behind it. And my context is this. For myself, I live with an innate sense of urgency and responsibility. That's just who I am. That's just where it comes from. And over the Christmas holidays, I sent the braid a sketch out, right? That basically shows that we have 9 years, 27 quarters. If we are to do a rhythm of kind of 3 quarters a year with some breathing space. So think of it as 3 seasons of gather, or 3 phases within a year where you have Christmas and summer kind of woven in. We have 27 seasons before 2030. And we have some pretty ambitious goals as a nation, as a world, we have some pretty, as a group of United Nations, we have some very ambitious goals. And here's what I know from being in local government for a short spread of time. We are the leaders that we're waiting for. So we might think that there's this little group of people out there that are taking care of these 2030 goals. And I'm here to tell you that there isn't, that there's decision makers that have decided and set policy into motion, but for it to actually hit and land on the ground, for change to happen, we all have to grab into it and onto it and make it happen. That's how it works. And so I set that context because it was a real wake-up call or a reawakening for me that was like, okay, I have 27 quarters to make the changes that I want to make with the people that I walk with and create with by 2030. Like that's a little bit of a wake-up call. So T, I set that context because I know you're up to some pretty incredible stuff this year, and I just wanted to open that conversation up.
I'm just choosing which path to go with this. I think the first thing I want to name is the acknowledgement of the UN 2030. And as well to acknowledge, again, where I think this is the age of the artist. In the age of the artist, it also means the dismantling of the dominance model. And the dominance model looks like, oh, the UN's got this. Oh, I know, the UN's got these goals. Good, somebody's got it, awesome. Which, I'm not painting the UN as bad, but one of the, but one of the byproducts of saying somebody else has got it is this dominance relationship, right? Not dominance bad, but that there is a dominant whatever that's got this. And as we, like you said, we are the leaders we're waiting for. We're part of that if we choose to be. And frankly, I would even suggest we're part of that whether we choose it or not. Whether we get there, whether the initiatives and the focus for women in 2030 and Indigenous peoples, whether we hit those intentions for 2030 or not, we're a part of it. So, so I think my part in it right now that really surprised me. A lot of you know that I was on a path of ministry last year. And it was like, it seemed like the logical, not just logical, but logical place for the mystery to live and to be of service and to reach and to do what I do and give my medicine to the world. And very quickly, thankfully quickly, although it was horrific, horror is too strong, it was really painful. It was very, 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 it's still painful. What didn't work about it was that it lived in one box. It lived in one story, which doesn't make the story wrong, doesn't make the story inaccurate, doesn't make but it lived in the Christian box. And as I continued to devote myself like a ministry of mystery, it became very clear that my part in it is in the allness of the stories. And my part in it is in listening to the stories from which we come. And in doing that, it might be painful to go, wow, you mean there isn't just one story, or there isn't just three? Like I think of the Islamic story, I think of the Buddhist story, and I think of the Christian story. It's like, you know what? There's even more than that. And then there's the Indigenous story, and it's not just North American Indigenous story. Oh, you mean there's more than one Indigenous story? Yep. Yeah, there is. There are First Peoples stories all over the world. And so leading beyond belief is, I think, a piece for me anyway, and my 50 nights, I'll explain in a sec, is saying yes, or what I call shaking hands with God, or shaking hands with mystery, or shaking hands with Creator or her, and saying, I accept this assignment that I didn't know that you planted inside of me, or that was planted inside of me by however it got there. And I think my first assignment to be part of the sharing of the multiple creation stories and the freaking gorgeousness of that is taking on some of the pain done in the boxes that we've been in. And my show, Oh My God, which is in development right now. I'm just about to write my third draft, the one that it takes place in Ireland, directly addresses the small toxic boxes that women have been in, and creates a safe container for outrage on outrage while loved. And again, there's the mix. Like, I think sometimes we just want to be really angry because we are. And sometimes we just want to just soothe because that's what we need. But where is the space where the actual mix and complexity of all of us can happen? And so, Oh My God, brings in different mythological goddesses, which I would also call witches, and gives them monologues in my show. And there's an 8-year-old little girl who wonders if she's a witch, but she's just playing, right? And then her mother dies, and she loses that female mentor in her life. And she doesn't know that she's actually protected by these goddesses from, again, different walks of faith stories. And then I'm not going to tell you the ending, but I've got this. I think Stephen Colbert might make an appearance. Just saying. So I think my first piece is allowing a safe container to point at some of the damage done around holding a container in the name of God. Like the containers we hold in the name of God. Where's the mix in that? So, and not so much holding the container, but the damage we have done to preserve the container is my first step. And then the bigger step is my book, which comes out after that, which is taking a look at 12 creation stories and how it was so beautiful that you said the corners of the world, because the Hopi creation story brings in the 4 directions. And as I started to really play and discover about look into these 4 directions, I went, whoa, I thought of 4 directions like this. But then I did this and went, oh my gosh, there are 12 stone circles around this quad rather than this quad. And I was like, 12 stone circles, 12 creation stories. So that my book is the conversation of the mystery of our unknowing, and underneath our unknowing are indigenous stories that know. Like, imagine if I just said that. Guess what, gang? Underneath all of our unknown are indigenous stories that know. But no one indigenous story is more important than the other. Now what? That's myth, that's mix. So that's my work. And then my 50 nights is a way to get to know the complexity of my voice. It's 50 mini stories that I send out via email. And it's really a way to introduce people to my complexities. They don't go, I don't get her. You're like, yeah, you're not supposed to. But can you hear me? So that's, yeah. Thanks for that question, Shar. Does that support?
I was with you with some of your writing, and yeah. So you talk about like divinely guided. I know that when you started your Oh My God, that it wasn't anything as what you have now. And so to me, that's really a very good example of leading beyond belief. because I've heard you say many times, "Oh my God, like, where am I going with this? Like, how did I get here?" But you just kept following and digging in, and so I'm really excited for you and for the story, for the One Woman Show, and for your book.
Yeah, same. And if you have not signed up for Tina's 50 Nights, I encourage you to do so. They are, they're so rich. Not only do you get to know Tina, but what she does in telling her stories, and this is where you really are an artist of impact, and that is you use your artistry and through words and through stories, through your walk with mythology, to actually take us to a place of wordlessness. And that's the place, that place of unknowing, to me, that's leading beyond belief. It is okay to not have words for leading beyond belief. It is a place of generative learning and sensory experiencing and intellectual, I want to use the word stimulation, but it's not the right word, actually. It's a intellectual up-leveling. And again, that's not actually the right word. I've gone to a place of wordlessness. But that is where that to me models the age of the artist, and that's the place that you're taking us and that you're modeling. So thank you for that.
I want to swing into, I'm aware of time. I want to swing into bringing it back to all of us. And as we know, next week, we're going to be diving into, with the audience, we're going to be diving into a conversation, a wisdom circle about what is leading beyond belief. How is that looking and feeling in your life for 2021? And what can we do to support you in that? T, I'm wondering if leading beyond belief was a spice that we were cooking with, and we had everything bubbling on the stove. Some things were simmering, some things were boiling over, other things were just coming to a boil. And we wanted to add a little bit of this leading beyond belief spice to the mix. What might some wisdom be from you or through you this morning that you'd have us consider to add more of that spice to the experience of our lives in 2021?
As you were talking, I kept hearing clove, clove, clove. Don't know why. So clove, clove, clove. The other thing that happened as you were talking is I grabbed my stone. And so I think what I would want to offer in this place is, I think the first thing I want to name is, if you're unpracticed in being in the wordless place, you're unpracticed in trusting mystery, to know that we all start somewhere, and it can feel like a barren desert, empty landscape. I'm someone who is practicing to be a swimmer, and Shar has pointed to me that swimming for me is like what Zephyr is for her. It's actually a practice of being in, I would say for me anyway, being in my what I'm afraid of. And somehow the water embodies that fear. Mystery in that place feels hard for me, but mystery on the earth does not. And so what I want to encourage you to do as you spice it up and bring more mystery in your life is find something that grounds you, that keeps you on the planet, so that you can go as high up or whatever, as released as you as you feel safe to go. But always stay grounded, because when you're grounded in the earth has you. The earth has you. And the other piece, the intellectual piece I'm going to say, is around the word belief. When I really got it, it was about beyond my beliefs. Beyond my beliefs is the divine knowing that I don't know yet. And find your tribe. Find your tribe of people that are the hands at your back. And sometimes you need very deliberate hands. And that's very deliberate. Like, I need you right now. And other times they don't need to be deliberate. They're just there. But find where those hands are. And if you haven't found it yet, I promise they're there. And it might come from the practice of this vulnerability and being with people that you're like, how much more did I let go of? How much more did I let myself be seen? And trust that your medicine is yours for you and to give people, and you'll find it in the mystery.
So great. I'm going to wrap up and then check in with all of you for a close, but I'd like to wrap up with letting all of you know my recommitment and our recommitment to supporting brave leaders on this path to leading beyond belief. And that reflects back to knowing that we have 27 seasons until 2030. And I want to let you know, if you haven't experienced it yet, we actually have a spot right on the homepage of our website where you can express your commitment to us, and we will hear it and hold it for you. What is your 2021 Lead Beyond Belief intention? Does anybody know that beyond you? And who's holding that for you? And then as you start to literally move into that in the world, and you're looking for a group to deliberately weave into, we have booked in and scheduled our master classes for the next 3 months for this quarter, as a way for you to start to breathe some energy and oxygen into that belief. And we'd like to invite you to be part of the classes that we offer to really explore bringing it into life. And yeah, I think the way that we are walking in two worlds is making sure there's a clear path from Gather to the master classes to a 90-day cohort if you're actually ready to start taking some steps and you don't want to do it by yourself. You want to feel that energy of a pack behind you. And the last thing that I will say is we're grateful for all of our guests who have joined us up to this point. We'll be asking them for their 2021 Lead Beyond Belief. I think it's very important to bring that story and that energy forward with us, and also to continue it on. And I'm really happy to tell you that our guest in 2 weeks is Sonia Firstino. So a leader of the BC Green Party, who's very much leading in unprecedented times. And what does leading beyond belief look like in that space, right? So we're bringing the story, as Tina would say, of all of us, from the very beginning of Gather for Her to today, to what does this mean to me? Tell us through the website, tell us next week in our wisdom circle, and then how does the story want to unfold as we're brave enough to walk as it starts to unfold in front of us. So just check in with each of my co-hosts. I'll sign off for now with gratitude. Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you, Tina, for the journey that you've taken us all on. And it's so rich and beautiful and deep. And I want to say one final word about leading beyond belief, and that is, as you, as an audience member, think about your intention in terms of leading beyond belief, put those self-directed weapons down.
Wow, that's really good. Yeah, and get grounded. Get grounded. If, that could be as simple as spending time in nature, going for a walk. Spend time with yourself. Help get you there. Thank you, Tina, for a wonderful, wonderful session. It was amazing.
Thank you. Thank you all for listening. Listening is also a way to stay grounded. So thank you for listening to me. Thank you to listening to each other. And thank you for listening to the bigness outside of all of us. Thank you.